All right, hello, good morning. So I woke up today. Well, I didn't wake up. I was getting the car, actually. And then I realized something. So I think we have a path forward because there is an issue with the SDK on the server side. And it's really related to, I'm actually going to draw some stuff today. So the whole SDK setup is that we have something we call Picture Client. And Picture Client is the internal browser SDK. So that's something we had at CodeSandbox, or we have at CodeSandbox. And then we moved to the actual CodeSandbox SDK. Then we kind of made that internal Picture Client SDK compatible with the browser in terms of building it. Node compatible. But that doesn't mean that it's built in a way that like it's not built for the server. So what has happened is that we're having a ton of dependencies in Picture Client, and those dependencies are being built into the SDK on the server side. So in certain environments, there's some conflicts. But this is just us like moving fast, MVPing, getting the actual interface and interactions out there to users to figure out if we're building the right thing. And we've definitely done that now. So now we have to find a strategy of like building this correctly without spending like 2 months in isolation. So something that is behind Picture Client is something called Picture Protocol. And Picture Protocol is actually just typings. So Picture Client is just using those types, implements a WebSocket connection and an interface on top of that to use to pass messages on that protocol. And what I want to do, which I think is a good idea, is that even though we have like this REST thing going on now, what I want to do is I want to basically copy Picture Protocol. Basically, so what we're going to do, we're going to sever this thing. We're going to create, let's see if I can draw this the way I think about it. So there's going to be a CodeSandbox browser SDK. And this is all going to be built on CodeSandbox SDK. So there's going to be an interface called CodeSandbox SDK, which is the interface that you're consuming in the browser and on the server now. And then we're going to have CodeSandbox browser SDK, which is basically Picture Client under the hood. So we're going to create a class, like a class that implements this interface, but we're going to pass Picture Client into it. And that's how the CodeSandbox browser SDK is going to implement its features, which is basically what we have now. But then we're also going to create the Node SDK. And this Node SDK is actually going to be using, let's see. So these are not actually different packages. It's just me thinking about it. So this is also going to implement the same interface, but it's going to do it using, let's see. It's going to use, it's going to have like a minimal implementation of Picture Protocol. So that minimal implementation of Picture Protocol is going to use the typings of Picture Protocol. We're going to extract the WebSocket management and message passing from Picture Client, and that's going to be Picture Protocol. And that's the only thing we're going to pass into this CodeSandbox Node SDK that's going to implement this interface. So that means this implementation is going to be super, super simple. Yes. But there's another step to this, I think. And that's for the future. But I think we should move the picture protocol types over here. And then we need to change them because they are very complex typings now, which means you can't really compile them to other languages. But what we can do is we can basically move the picture protocol types over and simplify them. Maybe we can even use an OpenAPI spec, or that would be ideal if we could convert the whole picture protocol into an OpenAPI spec. But what the hell? But I don't know how it's going to deal with notifications and stuff. We need to figure that out. But we're not actually going to generate clients. We're going to just generate the typing. And we're going to generate the typing for CodeSandbox SDK. I have questions about that as well. But that's kind of the idea. So instead of generating actual executing code, we're just going to generate the protocol and we're going to generate the interface. And then each language needs to implement its own implementation of the picture protocol because they had different implementations for WebSocket, and we're using a binary protocol called MessagePack to pass messages. So that's different in the different languages. But then you can like combine those two things. So you can do the picture protocol, and then you can do implement the actual SDK on top of that in the different languages. And I think that's much better because this low-level code generation from OpenAPI, just shoving out some endpoints, this isn't that. This isn't like GitHub where you just have data resources. This is a development environment, and you need more than just separate REST calls, I think. But anyways, it doesn't matter. We're going to figure that out later. But for now, we're going to create this interface first. We are going to separate. Yeah, we're going to make a separation here on these two things. And then we're going to prep this one, trying to implement this interface, and we're going to implement picture protocol based on code from picture client. Yes. So let's see where we're at here. So we have WebSocket session. We have REST session. Let's see, where does that leave us? So we can still keep the I'm thinking about the current OpenAPI stuff. Okay, so what we're gonna do, let's see how I'm gonna structure this. Yeah, so I think we can do new folder node. We're gonna have a new folder called. Okay, I have to be careful now. I want to move fast on this. So okay, let's not do node. Let's just create a browser, new folder, browser. I'm gonna move browser into browser and then change that to index. And what we're gonna do is that we're gonna move everything that has to do with the browser. So previews is browser. These sessions are browser implementations. But the other stuff here is like node stuff. Okay, so we have types, and I want to create a folder now called well, not a folder. We can do SDK interface.ts. And this is going to be an interface of CodeSandbox SDK. And here we're basically gonna, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna try to ask the agent here if it can do this for me. So I just created a file called SDK interface. Could you look through the implementation from index.ts and build up the interface for me? So the thing is, we don't currently support REST, and I'm not sure if it makes sense for us to have actual REST, because people are using our WebSocket connection on the server already, and that is working really well for them. And it's more efficient to use that protocol. So I kind of want to remove the REST session, but that also means, yeah, you know what? We're going to remove the REST session. And we're not going to have sessions. We're just going to have, I think we're going to rename that to, let's see, browser, delete, rename, session. But what's in, let's see. Yeah, another thing is, one thing is CodeSandbox SDK. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think we need to implement that yet, because there's only one. So this would be session API. Yeah, it's only the session that we want to implement in the browser and on the server currently. And then we need an actual SDK interface for the rest of it when we're going to support other languages. Yeah. Okay. Rename session interface. So let's call it iSession. Yes, that's going to simplify it even more, so we'll move a bit faster. Okay, so I just called SDK, session interface. Could you look through the implementation of browser session index TS and build up the interface of this for me? Yeah, that's what we're going to do. It's an actual session we need to handle now. And then yeah, that's what we're going to do. And then the browser is going to use this session, and then there's going to be a different session for Node. So we're going to have another session folder here after we've implemented this interface. Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted you to do. Oh, come on. This is going to be nice. And then, yeah, I think this is the path forward, because then I think it's important that we own the, at least have a Python package that we control. Look at you going. Okay, so the point is that I really wanted it to create great. Could you also create an interface for all the imported namespaces? Like file system should be ifile system defined in session interface. And then we need to remove the dependency to iPicture client here, because that's going to be an implementation detail for the browser. And we're going to create something new for the implementation detail for Node, which is going to be this isolated picture protocol thing. Oh, I hooked up SnowRunner to my PlayStation Pro yesterday. Oh my god, that game. It's amazing. I hope I find some time today to make a delivery. And it's like, it's gonna rain all week, so it's like perfect SnowRunner weather. Also played Roadcraft yesterday with a friend, which is so fun to play co-op, driving trucks and stuff. Because it's like, it's such a serious game, kinda, that you're like actually rebuilding a community and driving trucks around and building bridges and stuff. And then you get into these silly situations where, for example, we were collecting some metal scraps or something, and we found like these two old cars, and I'm kind of lifting one car on the on my friend's truck and then on my own truck, but it's too heavy. So when I try to drive, the truck is kind of just, yeah, pointing upwards, and then we got stuck in a hill, and then my friend rolled around, and it was too funny. Okay, but this is it. This is the whole thing, I think. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna remove, as I said, the dependency to picture client, and then we're gonna see what happens. Oh yeah, interesting. So we have this state and state change now. But I think I think we're gonna okay, so let's just look at it first. Picture client. You know what? There's something wrong with the search here. You see that it can't find anything. Why can't it find it? Oh, sorry. That's why. Picture client state. This is a little bit too... I think this is a little bit too complex. Or we can just copy it over. Yeah, we're just gonna copy it over. That's fine. So since this is just a type, it's not gonna be part of the build, so that's fine. But what we want to do now is, oh yeah, let's see. And then our session here, we're gonna call this session. And we don't really need to, so what we need to do is implement iSession. But we're not gonna like do file system implements this and that. Now we have like the top level thing, so we don't have to spend time like adjusting that. Oh, what happened here? Oh, I actually have to. Oh, okay. I thought it would be able to have, or was there something wrong? Get host, set host token? Where did it pick that from? This isn't right. Oh. Oh my god. Okay. Let's just copy it over. We have to do some manual work here. Can't I do something like that? Yeah. Yeah, this is optional. Okay, that was sucky, but okay, let's just fix that. So that was host. Oh, you're still not happy. Oh, it might be undefined. Oh, come on. So this might be undefined? That's not true. This isn't maybe undefined. Get headers between these types. Why does it say maybe undefined? Oh, I think, okay, you know what? We're just gonna do implements iHosts. Why are you complaining? Oh, but I just said if no this host token, you're gonna return. There's some, oh, god damn it. We're gonna have, this is, okay, so we're going into a chapter of this thing where I'm gonna be very, very angry because we're gonna have weird typing issues. And it pisses me off very often. But I have a feeling I'm maybe just be defining the interface wrong. Where is iHost? Get URL string. Why is this not compatible? Why is it saying... Okay, so it's because this becomes like a very specific thing. Okay, fine. Okay, terminals. What did you do to iTerminals? Oh, that's interesting. Type of parameters command and options are incompatible. Where? Oh, let's go here and say implements iTerminal. Oh, iTerminals. Create. Type name undefined. It's not assignable to type. Oh, we're missing this thing. That's weird. Why are you complaining? Oh, sorry. Okay. Why are you complaining? Type promise is not assigned. Okay, and then we have to say implements iTerminal. And what are you complaining about? Implement on exit dispose, but we don't have that. So iTerminal, it didn't do a great job here. Yeah, no, this is all wrong. That sucks. I think. Let's just grab the whole thing. Right. No, wait, it's... We don't have that thing. We don't have dispose. That's interesting. But we have kill, run, write, open. Kill. Huh, interesting. Let's see, open. You know what? We're just going to copy all the methods here. Let's see. So open returns a promise of string. No implementation details here. No implementation details there. And no detail. Cool. So this is the interface for a terminal. Let's see. Okay, and then we have interpreters, implements interpreters. Property node. Okay, I guess it just completely hallucinated interpreters as well. Oh, it's JavaScript, right? Yeah. Okay, and then we have Git. Okay, we just have to get through this. So what's wrong here? Clone exact. Okay, again, it just comes up with shit. Git. There's no. Oh, it didn't put anything in there. Oops. Promise void. Promise void. We don't need async here. This is also going to be promise void. And then status is going to be promise git status. Yes. And no constructor. Yes, and git status, you need to grab that from... Yeah, we can grab this from the picture protocol. So we can implement, or not implement, but import protocol. I think git from CodeSandbox picture protocol. And that would be git.git status. Git.git status. Boolean. That's optional. Cool. So that's git, and then we have setup. I setup, and I guess this is also just, yeah, just random shit. Yeah, let's just copy it all over. Oh, this was the actual step. Okay, so let's take that one. I setup. Luckily, these are simple things. Get steps, promise iStep. Do we have iStep? Sounds like an Apple product. We don't need a constructor. Current step index. Okay, we need an iStep. Implements iStep. iSetup step. Yeah, maybe we could do this instead. Please add the following class implementation as an interface of iSetup step in my session interface file. So I have a session in, let's see, at 11 in a couple of hours. Let's see how far we can get. I setup step. Wait. Oh, it's still generating. Oops. That's confusing. It's very hard. I don't think the indicator of it actually still working is very good. Because especially when I get changes here, it shouldn't show anything here until it's actually done running, I think. Or at least I'm confused by that. I am confused by that. And what's nice about this is we can also document here the interface and not the implementation. And then it works in the browser and on Node as well, which is nice. Okay, this isn't super successful, is it? Oh, setup step. Let's see. So we have iSetup. So let's just do I export interface. I setup step. We don't care about any of this. Yeah, I guess that's it. Why is it complaining about these ones? Oh, did I have iSetup step? Oh, did it do it? No, wait, what's this? Wait until completed. Yeah, what happened there? iSetup step. Cool. So that's setup. No, it's still wrong. Oh, yeah. Cool. And then we have tasks. Oh, that's the last one. That's nice. Okay, this wasn't that bad. Implement iTasks. And I guess it's just coming up with stuff here as well. Yeah. Yeah, by the way, this is like, this should be get all, and this should be get. We can copy this over. iTasks. Oh, sorry. And this needs to be an iTask. Cool. So let's define an interface of iTask. Where are you? Tasks. Task implements iTask. Let's just grab the things. Whoop. Okay. Oh, did I? No, I just took the implementation, right? Yeah. So stop is... Oh, I removed the whole thing. That's not right. Wait. So this is promise void. And this is also promise void. That's also a promise void. And oops. Yeah, protocol port. This is an optional timeout. And then open. That was a promise of string. We're gonna move shell size into this thing. And that's the constructor. We don't care about that. Maybe it can help me with the rest of this. No. Okay. Oh, it's very confused by the context here. This is not that great. Oh, it's trying to implement it. It's very interesting. Oh, look at that. Oh my god, it's very confused. String, there you go. Now you get it. Add import from yargs? No. On status change. Huh. Okay. Yeah, of course it gets confused by it. It's like a mix of all kinds of weird. That's private, private. Oh, all this is private. Okay. And here we can just say port. That's part of protocol. Okay, I think that's correct. Let's see what it says now. Okay. Why are you complaining? Boolean? What the hell is going on here? What's going on here? iTasks. Oh, maybe it's the... Let's see, what's the actual... Oh, this is missing. This was a messy process. No, run at start. Wait. Oh, it can be Boolean. Okay. That's fine. Wait for port. Type port or port. Okay. Can this be port? This can't be port. This can only be port. That's weird. So wait for port, promise port. Why is it saying that? It must be this one causing it. Type port or port. Why is it creating port? Because this is like, this returns a single port, right? And this one's also a promise of a single port. Oh, wait a minute. No, return promise. Oh, we can't return. Oh, interesting. It's because this one's rejecting, right? So yeah, sorry. So this needs to be await, and then we need to actually return the port here. That's interesting. Cool, then it's fine. I guess there's some mistakes here, but we can fix those as we move on. But what we've achieved now is that we created this interface for we created this interface for iSession. Sorry, we created this interface for the actual session. So that means we can now create a new session for Node, which is not based on Picture protocol. So as you can see, this session, when this session is created, it requires a Picture client. But we are going to create a new one now that doesn't require Picture client. So let's see. So we have browser session. How are we gonna write this? Okay, so I think we're gonna create like one session. No, we need that to be a folder. Yeah, new folder. So we're gonna have a session here as well. Oops. Index.ts. And we're basically, yeah, I wonder to what degree we can just, yeah, we're gonna explore a little bit. So we have session, but that also means, I think we're gonna create a new file called Picture protocol. Export class, Picture protocol. And this is gonna be the whole shebang. I think we should have a new folder here as well, Picture protocol. Rename index.ts. So now we're going to start copying over the logic for the pure protocol using a WebSocket. So that means we need to go and grab some stuff. So here we have CodeSandbox applications, and we have Picture client in here. Where are you? There you are, Picture client. Let's see. So we have something called a WebSocket client here. So we need to copy this one over because this has a bunch of logic. It's using isomorphic VS. It's also has a dependency to Picture common, and this is not. Yeah, but I think that's fine. It can have a dependency to Picture common. That's fine. But what we're gonna do is that when we actually build, so the thing we're gonna change is that we're not gonna like bring in the actual dependencies into the bundle anymore, because that's where stuff goes wrong. So what we're rather gonna do is we're gonna try that first. Let's just still allow ourselves to depend on Picture common. Yeah, and then we're going to copy this thing over. You know, managing a WebSocket connection isn't as straightforward as you would think. But at the same time, the reason this one is so complex is because of the browser. But it has ping logic. Yeah, and we don't have like seamless forking and stuff. Like even that leaks into the actual WebSocket connection. So, but that's not a concept on the server. That's just for the browser. So I think we're just going to copy it over. And then a WebSocket client. And then we're just going to start removing stuff. We don't need that thing. I don't think we actually need Picture common. It would be nice to not having to deal with that. So this is fine. With our pong detection, we will use an offset of that to determine how often we ping. If not, we result in never detecting pong. With our pong detection, we rather use an offset of that to determine how often we ping. If not, we result in never detecting pong timeouts as we run a new ping, clearing the pong timeout. Before we get just that's such a bad sentence. I think I wrote that. Okay. Yeah, and then we have a hard, like we do, that's how you detect a WebSocket connection, is that you ping it, right? You ping and you get a pong. But then during setup, there's a lot of stuff happening inside the agent, so we have a longer pong timeout. But we should just define all of this. We don't need, well, I guess it's fine. Blah, 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 blah. So we have a buffer queue. Maybe we should just, you know what? I did say we're going to spend as little time as possible on this. Oh, but here we have window. Oh, this is browser environment. Okay, let's remove that because we don't have a browser environment anymore. Okay, but I think we can bring in the emitter. Yeah, now we don't, interesting how we have a buffer queue for the, yeah, oops, what did I do? Let's bring that in from, yeah, cool. So this is the actual WebSocket connection. There's certain things we don't need here. But again, for the sake of moving fast, we can, like this thing. Well, I guess we can just remove that. Yeah. Okay, but that means that we depend on isomorphic VS. That's fine. Let's install that. npm install isomorphic VS. And we're also gonna change our package JSON a little bit so that we actually have, so picture client can be a dev dependency, but picture common and picture protocol actually needs to be dependencies. Like so. Okay, I think that's fine. So now we have a WebSocket client, but this doesn't actually do the, this is just a connection. Wait, what happened here? Did you create two of them? That's weird. So now we need the actual picture protocol, and this is the thing that manages all the messages and stuff. Now, and the question is, what are we actually going to move over? Because we have something called picture message handler. And this is the thing. This is the thing that actually handles messages. So I think we can just copy this over. Yeah, let's do that. Because this has the actual picture message handler. Yeah, let's just copy that one over. Yeah, and then we have pending picture message. We need that one as well. iPicture message handler. Yeah, we don't have to do that. Okay, let's just copy this over. So the message handler is the picture protocol. So we're gonna rename that. This is all fine. We need to move pending picture message over. Pending picture message. But the thing is, we're actually gonna remove a few things as well. Let's just call that pending picture message, TS. And I guess this is fine. It's just using picture protocol and picture common, which is fine. But it's very interesting because when I see this now, if we're going to implement this WebSocket, like this picture protocol, we need to implement that in different languages. And it's actually quite complex. It really is. I request options. Oh, we don't need that one. I request options. What's that? Wait, what did I do now? Oh, sorry. I request options. What's... Okay, let's go and grab I request options. Where was that? That was from the message handler, right? I request options. Yeah, so all this seamless fork strategy, all this stuff, we don't need that on the server. So we're just gonna put that in there. Okay, and then we're gonna clean this thing up. So it has nothing to do with like seamless fork and all of that stuff. Yeah, we're gonna look at this on send request as well. But let's see here. So this is just this notification is error. It just handles the message. I don't think we need this. This is also related to, it just replaces the message handler. But we're gonna treat this more as an immutable connection now. So when you disconnect, you kind of have to like do a full connection again. So we don't need all this stuff. Yeah, and look at this, all this seamless forking. We don't care about that. We're just gonna send the message. So yeah, it's interesting with the queue for reconnect. But this is also a thing. We're not gonna reconnect these things. You're gonna, as I said, it's gonna be immutable. So if you, oh yeah, and this on instance change thing, I'm gonna remove that. Yeah, and await reconnect queue, we can remove that. There's no seamless fork here. And I think we're gonna remove on send request. But let's just see how that works first. I can't quite remember. Yeah, so there's no queue for reconnect. No queue for reconnect. Yeah, this is not something flush reconnect queue. We don't need that. Wait, what happened there? And dispose. Nice. Yeah, dispose pending messages. Yeah, we can keep that as a private thing. So if we dispose of the instance, we dispose of any pending messages. That's important because it's going to lead them to exceptions. Oh, interesting. Yeah, there's so much. We don't need get pending messages anymore. There's not going to be any exceptions here. Like there's so much related to yeah, and it's so interesting. Like this is a thing we still haven't quite figured out how to do. So imagine you're sending some shell input, and during sending that, it's gonna lose the connection, or you disconnect. And then we want to just dispose of all the messages. And to be able to, so there's a try catch, like you're awaiting in your code that you're sending input to a shell. And then we disconnect, and then we really have to throw, right? The message is in flight. It's not going to be managed anymore. It needs to throw. But then you might have logic, which is like in the error handler of your try sending the message to the shell. You might retry it, for example. It's very interesting. There's like any request to the agent can fail. That's like any async logic can fail. The question is, what do you do if it fails? Like, what's interesting about this agent is that, or manually disconnecting, is that you still want to reject because the message isn't handled, but you want to check the error. Like, is it a disconnect error? And in that case, you just return. But that means that any place you actually request something, you just have to return. If it's that specific error message, which is also like a hassle. Yeah, it's interesting. But it's the correct way of doing it, I think. Okay, so this is the message handler, and this is using like our decode message from picture protocol and all of this stuff. Yeah, so moving all this stuff to a different language is gonna be very, very interesting. It's definitely doable. Yeah, because the code message is, yeah, and just checking the protocol. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. But anyways, we're getting closer to being able to do that. Okay, so now we have the picture protocol. So now we actually have the opportunity to send any picture message and get things reliably back, set up the connection, everything. So that's the thing. So on send request now, let's see, how is this actually being used? Because VM index, new picture message handler. Yeah, so we're setting up a connection. Create WebSocket client. Yeah, create connection string. What's this? Yeah, but we're not gonna have, okay, fine. Okay, but we're gonna include that in the creation of picture message handler now, I think. Or we, you know what? We can rather pass in a connection. I think that makes sense. Private connection. I guess that's WebSocket client. And then what we're gonna do here is this. Oh, that doesn't work. On send request. Wait. Wait, where did we go now? VM. New picture. Wait, what the fuck? Oh, there we are. New picture connection. Oh, request.message. Sorry. This connection dot send request.message. And then we don't need that thing. We just say this dot connection dispose. Yeah, this makes sense. Yes. So we're gonna create, because yeah, sorry. So this is gonna be renamed, sorry, picture protocol. And I think we're gonna do this a little bit differently. So we're gonna say static create, and we need to give it the URL. Thinking. Yeah, no, I think it makes most sense that when you connect, we create a WebSocket connection. No, that should be part of this thing. So you create a picture protocol. Yeah, exactly. Create WebSocket client. You need a static async create await. The URL here needs to include the token though. Yeah, I think we can just bring in the token here, and then we use that. Where was the create connection string? Oh, we need, okay. Okay, no, we're gonna build up that thing. Let's see, let's just copy it. I think we're just gonna do URL here. And then we're gonna return that new picture protocol. Okay, so now we've isolated creating picture protocol. We're just sending in the URL to connect to a VM. And then everything inside here is gonna handle the message passing. And then we can pass this picture protocol into our node session that implements the I session interface. And we have everything we need to get things running. And then in the actual connect method, we're going to create a picture protocol. We're going to pass it into that session. And then we're all good. So this is going to be interesting. Export class session. Yeah, so let's call this node session. Implement I session. And let's see. And then constructor is going to take a private picture protocol. Yes, cool. And then I think we can call browser. We have a session. Let's call this browser session. Rename symbol, browser session. Implements I session. Nice. Okay. I hope my intuition is right on this one. The next few minutes will show. So what did I say? I said when we're on sandboxes here and we actually, sorry, that will be sandbox. When we actually connect, we're not going to do yeah, this is interesting. So we're going to create that session. Then we need to produce the URL. So that will be, this is something we're grabbing from the session. We might need to pass a few other things in there because we're supposed to, yeah, whatever. So URL would be Session, exactly. Session picture URL, session picture token. That's the URL. So let's just comment out this thing. So a tricky thing here is that when we fire up, okay, so there's one thing we haven't handled here, and that is the actual initialization of, so as I said, the picture protocol is now very low level. It's just the message passing, but we still need to do kind of like how we do the browser. So the browser has connect to Sandbox. Yeah. And then this thing also needs to have, wait a minute, how does that work? So browser has, yeah, exactly. So a session here is the actual node session, but it's actually communicated a bit already on the picture protocol. So we need to copy that over as well. Thinking. Yeah, so we're gonna simplify a bit. We're not gonna like preload a bunch of stuff and so on and so on. But we need to initialize it. I'm just curious where we should put that logic. We're gonna try putting it here on connect first. So we're not gonna do the thing I'm curious about. I do not think we need this anymore. We fixed that. Because now we have, like a sandbox will always run in the same cluster now. Yeah, we don't need that stuff anymore. Okay, so this will be a new node session. So what we want to do here, did we create the picture protocol? By the way, I want to move this away somewhere else. We're going to remove create rest session. It's not official. Well, it doesn't hurt that it's there, but yeah. Let's see. So we're going to say picture protocol equals new picture protocol. We're passing in the URL. Didn't it take a URL? Oh, sorry, sorry. So first we need a connection, which is new WebSocket. No, await create WebSocket client. And we pass that connection into picture protocol. And then we can do some stuff that we're gonna check. And then we do a new, yeah, this needs to be here as well. Yeah. Okay, this is gonna be interesting. But let's take the session options over here in the constructor. We're gonna have the same thing here. Host token. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so let's move back to actually connecting here. So now we have another piece of logic, which is the thing that actually initialize init picture client. So there's a lot of stuff happening here as well. Yeah, we even have this retry promise thing. This is also coming from this is where's retry promise coming? Retry promise. Oh. Yeah. Oh my god, there's so much stuff here. Let's see, where did it go? Init picture client. I'm just gonna copy the host response callback. Interesting. Okay, let's just copy the code first. And here we have new picture message handler. So this, oh, interesting. So we actually don't need this. Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, this is interesting. So we're gonna drop that reconnect thing. And this is the message handler, which is basically picture protocol. And then message handler. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is how we handle the messages. I feel like this is a bit artificially decoupled now. Oh, doesn't it have handle message? Connection on message. Yeah, this should be internally in, let's see, picture protocol. Wait, handle message? Doesn't it have a I'm confused. How does it handle message? No, that's receive message. Oh, was I confused? Come on. Receive message. Wait, where was it? What did I click? What happened there? Oh, there we go. Sorry. Wait, now I'm super confused. So new picture handler on request send, that's fixed. But then we also have connection on message, message handler, receive message. Yeah, receive message. Okay, but that means that should actually be internally here. This is also private. Because now we have the connection in the constructor. So we can basically just add that here. Yeah. And then add. Oh, isn't this? Oh, it's not extending. Don't I have a disposer here? No. Okay. Let's just do private on message disposer. I don't think it's really necessary. Never used NVim before. Just never used it. And I'm too old to try something new. Let's see. On message disposer. You know what? We don't really care about this because if we dispose of this thing, we're also going to dispose of the connection. So we don't care about that. Okay, so now we have a connection. We don't need to create these clients anymore. Protocol version. Where's protocol version? Where's that coming from? There's so much stuff. Where is protocol version coming from? Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, so basically the thing we want to do now is we want to listen to, so when we're connecting, it is possible to listen to progress updates. I don't think you want to do that on Node though. This is something we implemented because we want to show it in the UI to the users. Yeah, we're gonna drop that. So that's just init status update. And this is part of initialize. This is part of connecting, right? So even now we're not actually allowing you to pass in that when you connect, so that's fine. But we need this join result. This is an important one. So this is actually the thing that joins the... So what we need to do here is... so app ID is going to be, wasn't it SDK? Oh, lowercase. SDK. And then protocol version is going to be version, not from Yargs, but from picture protocol. And then what we need to do here, we need to use the picture protocol, and we're going to request instead async progress. Let's see. So we're going to do request. Is it method? And then we can say client join is like super well. And then subscriptions. Let's see. And this join result should be like a nice result. Let's see. Do you use NVim? Like how did you get exposed to it? And why is it so awesome? I'm definitely not one of the cool kids. Let's see. So we have subscriptions, and those subscriptions, those are coming from... let's see. Wait, I think we actually have it here. Where's Sandbox? Aren't we passing in subscriptions here? No. Options, subscriptions. But that's coming from, yeah, init picture client. Where do we call init picture client? Oh, that's the browser index. Default subscriptions. That's where they are. Okay. So we're going to do default subscriptions here. Default subscriptions. Cool. So now we're joining the sandbox. And we have, yeah, and now we have join result. We don't need to do that. And we get the client username. Nice. We're happy about that. And then what else do we do? We're joining the session. Yeah, and then we're creating the client. And then we start waiting for a few things to be ready. But I think we're actually good now. Yes. Now that we have initialized, we set an appropriate timeout to more efficiently detect disconnects. That's fine. We can use you as well. And then Pong detection timeout. That's coming from the... So you'll have to excuse me here because we're doing some things that's like a little bit... I wouldn't do it like this if I wasn't like copying it from this thing. Wait, where's the Pong detection? Where are you coming from? Okay. Okay, cool. This looks pretty nice though. You really understand what's happening, which is a good thing. That's always a good thing. Oh, I did remove rest. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, it's not documented or anything. So, and I'm very, very unsure if we should actually use rest. Okay, now we can remove all of this stuff. Okay, we're actually getting to a point now where we can start implementing the interface. So we have a connection running. We're passing the pitcher protocol into the node session. We have all we need here, and we can basically now start implementing. One thing that I'm noticing now is that we have this like weird abstraction inside the browser client that makes certain things like we're prefetching a few things. And that was all about like the actual browser experience. So we're not going to do that now, but what we have to make sure of, but we can do that as we get into it, because some of these getters, like here, these are like synchronous, and that's because we're prefetching. But we don't want to do that. So there is a real opportunity here to actually simplify the browser implementation as well, but that's not necessary now. We have a really like battle tested browser implementation, so we can keep that. So that can be a future endeavor. But now we need to actually start implementing things here. So where are we going to start? I guess we can just start with the file system or commands. Okay. So now, okay, let's just review. The thing that's changed now is that we're not going to use pitcher client. But as we can see, just this run background, it's like there's tons of logic here. That should be exactly the same on the browser and in the client. Sorry, in the browser and on Node. I think maybe we did this the wrong way. I think, well, we didn't do it the wrong way, but no, yeah, we kind of did it the wrong way. Okay, so yeah, because we want those to work exactly the same, right? So we shouldn't have two different implementation of it. Yeah, no, we did it the wrong way, but we didn't we needed to do this work anyways. So I messed that up. We don't need an actual interface here. What we need is thinking. The interface we actually need is not the actual session interface. We need a common interface for interacting with the agent. That being using the pitcher protocol for Node or using the browser pitcher client. That's the thing we want to generalize. So explicitly, the thing we want to generalize is this thing. so that if I call this, then so there should be an interface passed into the session here that doesn't care if it's pitcher client or it's the pitcher protocol that it's using. So that's the interface we need to actually define. And then, yeah. And that can look something similar to this. But that allows us to implement, like, we implement a single session, but we pass different implementations of talking to the agent. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Thinking. But we did do a lot of stuff here. We did actually not need this whole thing. So I'm going to delete this. That's the thing we did that wasn't necessary. Let's just remove that one. Yeah, but we did discover a bug though. Not a bug, but a typing issue. Let's see. Okay, sorry about that. Terminals. Remove that one. Okay, so we're gonna have a session, but this session, we're gonna remove this one. Yeah, move to trash. And then we're gonna move our session. Let's rename that to session. We're gonna have the session here. That's fine. And we're gonna just call it session. This is the session. And then we have browser. Yeah. And previews are part of that. That's fine. Cool. Okay, so the thing we actually want to create an interface for, and this is gonna be a little bit more tricky. It's this thing. We don't want to use iPitcher client here. So let's create a new, what are we gonna call that? Maybe we should call it like agent interface. So export interface agent. Yeah, we don't have to call it. We can call it iAgent. Now, I think we're just going to start somewhere. So we're going to start on commands and we're going to take a look at this. So this is currently getting pitcher client. And are we doing this the right way? Yeah, no, it needs to work like this. So this is going to be, let's rename this to agent. And this is going to be iAgent. And now let's just look at the first one. I just need to efficiently pick up the typing for this. Hold Oh my God, this is gonna be so tricky. Oof. How are we gonna do this? So let's just check first. Clients, shell client. So when we call create, does this is my biggest worry. Does this have a bunch of, like, all of these methods, they are pure requests. I do not think we have any logic. It's just, yeah. Okay. But what we have to do, we have to grab these things. Yes. Okay. Let's see how we're going to do this. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to say, okay, so first we're going to jump into the actual implementation in Picture Client. We're going to copy over the arguments. We're going to put that in the agent interface, but we're going to put it like in like shells, for example, create. We're going to put the arguments there. And then we have the protocol here. No, it's going to be, sorry, shell from the picture protocol. Shell size, where's this stuff coming from? Oh yeah, that's also from shell. Shell size, shell process type. Okay, but this is great. This is exactly what's gonna happen. And then when I flip, sorry, what's this commands? So when we flip this to agent, we can call it the same way, but we're just gonna point to the agent instead. And then under the hood, for the actual browser implementation, yeah, so the agent is going to have a browser implementation using Picture Client, and then Node is going to have its agent implementation, just using that simplified picture protocol. Wow, this is, but it might not seem like it, but there's so many details to this that this is definitely the fastest way for us to move forward. And then we have a healthy decoupling. So the API surface is exactly the same. It's the same session. It's just how it passes the messages that's different. And then what we would have to do as like a next step exploring new languages is actually, well, now I just deleted it. Yeah, that's fine. Is to actually define an interface for the session. And then we can build the picture protocol types, and we can build the session type into other languages. And then those languages can take those types, implement an agent. Yeah, so we have iSession, iAgent, and the protocol interface. Maybe we could simplify it so that iAgent, yeah, that's something we can do later. So iAgent actually includes the protocol. So you just have this like package of iAgent, which is like communicating with the agent in typing that you can generate for different languages. And then it's up to each language to implement a WebSocket connection to that agent. And no. Well, we don't have to think about this now. How would I do this? Yeah, it's very interesting. So picture protocol. Because this is just the message passing. And then we have something else called the agent. Yeah, because there's so many levels to this. So you have to, for each language, you have to implement the actual message passing. And that's complex, right? This is handling like pending messages and dealing with errors and notifications and all kinds of stuff. So that's just the message passing. And then it just allows you to pass messages from the protocol. It's kind of just typed to that. But then you have the actual, yeah, so I guess this is the thing that's a little bit weird, because then you have the agent and then you have the actual SDK interface. But those don't really need to be for other languages. Like, that's the thing. For TypeScript, we want to reuse across, we want the same interface in the browser and the server, right? So we need to design a set of interfaces that allows us to do that. But those interfaces doesn't make sense when we're not migrating, but we're implementing other languages for the server, because the server, other languages can't run in the client. That has nothing to do with the browser implementation. But it needs to be this way. We need to have one abstraction for the actual WebSocket connection that needs to be used by any language on the server, including TypeScript. And then we need like an agent implementation, like an interface abstraction that uses that connection. But this has nothing to do with the other languages. This has to do with browser and server in Node or JavaScript. So that's the reason that abstraction exists. And then we have the actual session interface, or the whole SDK interface, really, for the different languages, which includes the session interface. This is so interesting. Anyways, oh, when's my session? Let's see. Overview of infra. Okay, let's spend a few more minutes on this, and then I'm gonna do then we're gonna do a session after that as well. Okay. Let's see. Where were we? Yes, so we're gonna call this picture protocol. The naming isn't that important related to the future, because this is internals. But we did have an agent interface now, so we were able to do the create. But I wanna create both versions of the agent now. So so when we do this thing, yeah, okay. So the browser is gonna have the browser agent, and this is gonna be a class that implements iAgent. So this is like, yeah, I guess we can have like class shells create implement iAgent shells. Can do this. I can't do this. Or is it just because I don't have I haven't finished implementation. I guess we wanna. Oh, come on. Yeah, let's do iAgent shells. iAgent shells, and then in the browser agent, we want to implement, oops, iAgent shells. There you go. Okay, so, and this browser agent is going to take the actual picture client, iPicture client. And then, yeah, I guess we can do private. And then we can say shells equals new shells. This dot picture client constructor private. Yep, you got it. Great. Cool. And this browser thing is gonna have the actual implementation. Oh wait, this was commands. Oh, sorry, no. There's so many levels to this. Okay, cool. So the browser agent is actually gonna have the old implementation. What's happening here? So this is gonna be return, and then we're gonna have all the options here. And this is kind of sucky. I hope that like when you implement interfaces, you would actually get like the typing here, and you don't, and that sucks. So we just have to copy everything, which, yeah, that sucks. But anyways, yeah, so you can use the picture protocol for that. Okay, so, oh, interesting. I guess that should be there. Oh, we're not using project path. Okay, I think we're gonna do that. Project path, and then we're rather gonna pass that in. Well, we don't have to, but it's kind of weird to, no, we're gonna do this. Okay, so this is the browser version of this. So how are we gonna move on with this? Because we don't want to replace picture client here. We want to have quick access to the typing and stuff. Or do we? No, I think we're rather going to find it in the other project. So I think we're actually going to change this to agent. Sorry, rename. Agent. And then this is going to be iAgent. And now we can go down here and we can say agent shells. No. Wait, didn't we have? Oh, sorry, because, yeah, now we don't, this doesn't work. Okay, but that just means the agent needs a workspace path. Okay, so let's add that. Workspace path, which is going to be a string. And then we have to make sure that when we create this agent, let's just make a comment on it. That's the workspace path. And then we can say this.agent workspace path. Yeah, and now we can argue like, no, that's why I have it there. That can just be inside the agent because you can't really pass anything else. But yeah, let's just keep it as like this for now. And I'm wondering, I don't like the term agent. Yeah, no. It really is. You know what? We're going to rename this. It really is picture client. That's the right term for it. But we already have a picture client. But we can call it, okay. So pitcher is an internal term. And we use the term agent here. So we're going to rename this to agent client interface. And then we're going to call this the agent protocol. And then we're going to keep pitcher as an internal concept. Pitcher client, agent client, browser agent client. And then where were we? Agent client. And then this is going to be iAgent client shells. Cool. We're here. And we're going to call this the agent client. Yes. Okay. So we're just going to move from here. And that would be shell ID. Yeah, so what we're going to, our iteration loop here is going to be, okay, let's look at the next failing thing. We're going to find this in the other project. We're going to implement it in the interface. And then we're going to move this implementation into the browser agent. That's how we're going to do it. And then when we're done with that, we're going to create a node agent client. And then we're going to just use the agent protocol to implement the same interface. Okay, so rename. We're just going to grab the signature like that. And agent client interface. Boop. So ID. Okay, I don't like this ID thing. I think it's just a string. I'm not sure why we have that explicitly. Opaque. Oh, by being used explicitly. We don't care about that. It's just a string. But what it does, it ensures that you're actually passing like a type called ID, which is a string. So you can't like pass any string. But since this is part of, oh, it's pitcher common. Yeah, okay, we can do that since it's pitcher common. Yeah, that's fine. We don't want to use pitcher client. That's the point. But pitcher common is fine. No, it says null. Cool. So now we have that. We're going to go into the commands. We're going to say shells. Well, first we're going to take the implementation. We're going to put it into the browser agent. Rename. Return. Oh. This pitcher client. Shell ID name. Oh yeah, this doesn't matter. Okay, and then we can go back, not back there, but back here in the actual thing. And now we can say shells rename. Nice. Okay, and then we have command. That's also now going to take an agent client. Well, let's wait for... so that is shells, get shells. So that's basically this, but it's going to be a promise now because we're not going to preload them. Well, we're going to do that in pitcher client, but that doesn't matter, right? In the browser. So let's see. We need in our agent client interface, we need get shells. Fine. And then we're gonna take the thingy from here. Yeah, it's not calling the right thing, but that's fine. Exactly. But this is gonna be a promise, as I said. So we need to make this async. I'm not sure why you're complaining. Okay, I guess we just want to do promise.resolve. Why are you complaining? Oh, what did I do? Oh, sorry. Yeah, like that. Oh. There's too much stuff going on there. Okay, fine. Yeah, so I guess we can just say async now. And then, whoop, there was something else that was wrong. There we go. Nice. So we have get shells. So now we can go into commands. We can use the agent client with shells, get shells, but now we have to await it, making this async. Cool. Great. And now we just have to make the command, take the agent client. So constructor is going to take, well, let's not rename it yet. Because it makes it, well, it doesn't matter, does it? Agent client, and this is going to be a agent client. Okay, so now we need on shell exited. We need to move that into the interface. This is going to take some time. This is definitely going to take some time. Oh yeah, sorry. So this is just going to be the, let's see. On shell exited, that's going to be an event. Wait. Why are you complaining? Oh, what's the type of that? It's an event. Where's that event coming from? Yeah, I think we have to import it from picture common. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now a problem here is that we shouldn't really be using picture common either. We need all the types to be defined within this type, this interface, so that we can efficiently translate them into other languages. But again, that's for later. Cool. So now we have on shell exited, which means we can take. Oh, sorry. We can go into command here. No, wait. Clients. Yeah, sorry. We can copy this code into browser agent, which I guess is now gonna have a duplicate of this. No, wait a minute. Sorry. Sorry. On shell exited, it's gonna equal this picture client. Why are you complaining? Clients shell on shell exited. There we go. Of course. Yeah, we don't even need that thing. And then this is just going to do shells on shell exited. Exactly, that's how it's going to work. And again, we need on shell terminated. So this is going to be an event. Let's just copy the whole thing over to the agent interface. And then we take this. So we're going to move faster and faster here as we get to know the code. On shell terminated. We're going to take the commands. We're going to copy this. Well, I guess we just need this thing over here. On shell terminated equals this.picture client, shells on shell terminated. And now this can be agent client, shells on shell terminated. And then we have on shell out, on shell out, on shell out emitter, move it into the interface. Take this thing, on shell out event, that thing, go into the implementation, on shell out. Yes, that was exactly what you were going to do. And then in the commands, we're going to have, oh, now you're starting to get it. And then we have open. Let's grab that thing. Let's put that into the interface. Open. Perfect. Browser agent, sorry, commands. You're going to have browser agent. Open. Oh, sorry. Open. Oh, look at that. Yeah, now it's really coming together. Like it's picking up on what I'm doing. That's the cool thing about Windsurf, is that it kind of just understands what I'm doing and then picks up on it. Okay, so now we need a delete. So what's the... Okay, so we have delete. Oh, delete. And let's move into commands. Let's just copy this, browser agent, delete, fine, perfect. So that's commands, and then this is gonna be, can you help me? Ooh. Oh, shells.delete. And we have restart. Okay, restart. Let's grab that thing, put it into the interface. Let's copy the thing. Restart. Shells. Restart. Great. Okay, this is definitely, I feel very confident this is the right step now, because this is going to resolve the immediate issue where we need to have a specific node client and a browser client. They're going to have the exact same interface, exact same implementation. It's just how they send the messages that's going to be different. So again, the browser client is just using the internal browser-based picture client project, while the node version has our custom, where is it? Agent protocol. And then a custom agent protocol. but it's the same session implementation for both the browser and the server. And then when that's done, we've fixed it. Then we can bundle the SDK on the server side without dependency to picture client and all the stuff. Yeah, treat it as an actual node package. And then we have a release on that. And then we have the opportunity to move. Well, there's several things we need to do. So there's different parts to this. We need to move the picture protocol into this project, rewrite the typings for it. Alternatively, use OpenAPI spec for it. Yes, that's one part of it. And then we need to use those type definitions to implement the agent protocol. So you need an agent protocol. And then we need to create an interface of the whole SDK, including the session. And then for each language, we would implement an agent protocol sending and receiving these protocol messages, that being an OpenAPI spec or something else. And you would have to implement the actual interface for the SDK. And then it doesn't matter if you're using Python or TypeScript or whatever, it's going to look the same from an interface perspective. But of course, they're going to have their own implementation for sending messages. Yeah, something like that. Okay, I'm going to drop off because I have a session in half an hour I need to prep for. But we got through some of this, and I think we're in a good flow now. So when we get back, we're just going to continue. So we're going to continue going through each of these. Next is file system. We're going to change it to be an iAgent. Yeah, so summary of what we need to do. We need to go through each of these, move to the iAgent client interface. Finish the browser implementation of the iAgent thingy, or the browser agent. So that's okay. So that's what we're doing when we're going through this. So first we're going to go through this, fix the typing to use the iAgent interface. And as we're doing that, we're also implementing the browser agent implementation, browser agent client implementation. So when we're done with that, we should have a browser client that uses the browser agent client implementing the iAgent client interface, and it should all just still be working. We haven't really changed the implementation, we just changed separation of concerns, and that sets us up for actually implementing the iAgent client interface in Node using the agent protocol, which is a bare bones message passing thing. And now picture client is completely decoupled from the actual SDK, which is going to allow us to build a normal Node version that can run anywhere. That's it. Okay. I'll see you in about 1.5 hours, I think. Hopefully. Okay. Bye for now.